Hey there everybody, Mr. D here. In this video we are going to wrap up Unit 2 here and talk a little bit about the old IVT, Intermediate Value Theorem. What Intermediate Value Theorem says is that if you wanted to go from point A to point B and you wanted to connect those with a straight or squiggly line, your choice, but as long as it's continuous, that you have to hit every single value between them. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. If you go from one spot to another, you have to go through every point in between, assuming you are continuous. So that's the gist of it. We're going to see some examples. But first, let's get a little warm-up on continuity. All right. We're going to do two of these. These are problems that you might have seen in some homework stuff. The AP does love to throw these problems at people. So let's talk through them. Find a value for the constant k. So we need to find a value for this k right here to make this function continuous. All right, so if the function is continuous, I just need to make sure that 7x minus 2 is the exact same thing as kx squared. Because if they have the same function value, then the function will exist. It'll be defined. And since on either side we have a polynomial, we have a straight line, then a parabola, the limits will also exist, and then they'd agree. So by setting them equal to each other, we're making sure that they agree. We're given an x value of 1, so let's just throw 1 in for x and see what happens. 7 times 1 is just 1, so we have 7 minus 2, equals k times 1 squared. Well, that's just 1, so k times 1. Well, that's just k. All right, so we get, simplify this out, 5 equals k. Hooray, we're done. So if I plugged in k with a value of 5, I would get a situation in which this piecewise function, the two different function components, would match. Right on. Let's do one more of these, and then we'll call it a day for those and move into IVT. Let's find values to make this thing continuous. Well, if this was continuous, I've got two polynomials. I want to make sure they match. So x squared minus a squared, I want to set that equal to ax plus 20. Specifically when my x value is 4. So let's plug that in. 4 squared is 16, so 16 minus a squared equals 4a plus 20. I'm noticing I have an a squared and an a, which means I have to go through and set this thing equal to 0 and factor it. I'm not thrilled that this a squared is equal to 0, so I'm going to take all of this stuff from the left-hand side and throw it over to the right-hand side. So I have 0 equals positive a squared plus 4a, and then I'm subtracting 16, so this would be plus 4. Now we can factor and solve. We get 0 equals a plus 2, a plus 2. If you're not a factor fan, you could do completing the square quadratic formula, your choice. We're going to get a equals, ooh, my stylus is acting up, a equals negative 2. All right, now let's get into IVT. So let's throw a hypothetical. Let's say you have a polynomial, and it's continuous, and f of negative 2 is negative 3. So I have a point negative 2 comma negative 3 on the graph. And then f of 4 equals 3. So I have another point 4 comma 3 on the graph. And I want to know, if I connected these, how many x-intercepts are possible? Is it possible to do it with just one x-intercept? Yep, just did. What about 2 x-intercepts? Bam, right there. What about 3 x-intercepts? Say no more. What about 4? There we go. What about 5? I can keep going all day on this. But is it possible for me to get from one to the other without hitting the x-axis? And the answer to that is no. Because the number 0 lands in between negative 3 and 3. So in order to get from a y value of -3 to +3, I have to cross through 0 at some point, assuming my function is continuous. And just to clarify any arguments, no, this is not a valid response. I have had students try to argue that. Can you just go off the grid? No. Not in a two-dimensional Cartesian plane, assuming Euclidean space. But that's a conversation for a different day. All right, so now let's see the mathy definition. If you have a function that is continuous on a closed interval, so x values from a to b, then the function has to take on every single y value between whatever f of a was and whatever f of b was. So between these 2 points, every single y value will be hit by this function at some point, maybe multiple times, who knows. So hypothetically, let's say this y value here was 5 and this y value here was 7. That means every single number, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 6.8, 6.97, all of those will somehow be hit there. When we were dealing with an intermediate value theorem, we have to ensure, though, that it is a continuous function, because we might look at this and say, well, hey, we don't obtain any values between 2 and 3 here. And that's true, we don't, but this function is not covered by intermediate value theorem because it's not continuous. So the intermediate value theorem is only valid for continuous functions. All right, so now how do we put this to work? I want to use the intermediate value theorem to show that this function, x cubed plus 4x minus 1, has a solution, so it has an x-intercept in the interval 0 to 2. So I've got some cubic function, and I want to prove that it has an x-intercept somewhere between 0 and 2. The way that I'll do that is I'm going to plug in f of 0, so I'll plug in 0 for x and see what happens. I'll plug in 2 for x and see what happens. Chances are one of these will be negative, one will be positive, which allows us to claim that there is some sort of an x-intercept, some sort of a 0 in between there. So let's go ahead and evaluate here. We're going to plug in 0 for x. 0 cubed plus 4 times 0 minus 1, that would be -1. Let's plug in 2. 2 cubed is 8. 4 times 2 is 8, so 8 plus 8, 16 minus 1, we get 15. Well, clearly, 0 lands somewhere in between those. So 0 is somewhere between -1 and +15. So the way we write this up, and you'll have this little Mad Lib thing filled out, is if we know that f of 0 is -1 and f of 2 is 15, and f of x is a continuous function, well, it's continuous everywhere, but also specifically on our interval of x values from 0 to 2. And since I know that -1 and 15 kind of bookend a value of 0, so 0 is in between -1 and 15, there must exist an f of x equal to 0 somewhere between those intervals of 0 and 2. The IVT guarantees. Essentially, all you're doing here is plugging in the x values to the following spots, plugging in the y values to the following spots, and then plugging in whatever you're trying to prove, in this case that there is a solution, to the following spots. So it's just like a little Mad Lib. This is the write-up that you guys will have access to. So it will be in your homework packets, it'll be on your tests, all that. You just have to know what goes where. All right. Let's use the intermediate value theorem to prove that there's a y value of 2 somewhere on the interval 0 to 1. Well, we're going to plug in 0, see what we get. We're going to plug in 1, see what we get. I get -1 and 4. So I need to ask myself, well, does 2 fall into that range? And sure enough, yes, it does. 2 is bigger than -1, but smaller than 4. So it sure does. So let's get our write-up going. F of 0 equals -1, and f of 1 equals 4. And since our function is continuous everywhere, but also specifically on this interval from 0 to 1, and I know that 2 is in between -1 and 4, there has to be some function value that equals 2 somewhere between those x values of 0 and 1, the IVT guarantees. All right. There is another example here, but I feel like we've kind of done. We've done 2. That's good enough. All right, that's going to be it for this video. You guys know the drill. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. And as always, folks, good luck, have fun, be safe. Roll Tide.